Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Ocean's Pit, the little show about big things. I hope you're having a great day today. We have an exciting show today, a different kind of show. You know, we are on Monday through Friday, 12 o'clock noon from 12 to 1, a little show about big things. And we take different guests and we have different stories, and we have good stories, bad stories, intriguing stories, heartfelt stories. And that's why I really appreciate you guys tuning in every day. Every show is dedicated to the first responders, and especially people like you who watch the show every day. Check the website, TonyOceanMusic.com, and give us a call at 847-769-8609 to book any shows, folks. A lot of good stuff happening. But the show we got today is very, very interesting. And a heartfelt story. Three siblings lost their parents on May 25th, 1979. One of the biggest crashes, of course, because of the crash of American Airlines Flight 191. Horrible. 273 passengers lost their life. That's including some 2 or 3 ground people as well. And on the show we're going to have coming up very shortly is Kim Mick. I'm going to make sure I pronounce this right. Kim Jockel and Melody Smith. They're authors of a brand new book that I've showed you a few times so far called Safe Landing. It's on longoverduebooks.com or Amazon. They're on telling their incredible story to be coming on in just a few minutes. And it's just to be able to lose your parents on the flight and everything they went through, and getting back 40 years of when I read it, and a couple other people and my friends read it, and it's one line that really struck me in the book. Tragedy gets a big word, but it never gets the final word. And we're going to get that stuff coming up. We're going to have Melody and Kim on. I'm excited. I know you guys will all be excited too. First of all, let's get down to business. Let's thank our sponsors, folks. Without our sponsors, you know how it is. You got to say hello to our good friends, of course, from Ace Hardware. Always Ace the place. Norwich, Ace Hardware. Des Plaines, Ace Hardware. Evergreen, Ace Hardware. And Warrenville, Ace Hardware. Remember, folks, they've been helping neighbors before they were neighborhoods. Raphael and Jackie have an incredible deal, ladies and gentlemen. Right now, until the end of March 31st, if you go to the Norwich or the Des Plaines Ace Hardware, folks, and get a tune-up on your lawnmower, you'll get $10 for added onto your Ace points. Fantastic. But now it's spring is in the air, folks. Remember, spring was our first day, was a couple of days ago. One thing you got to remember, you walk into Norwich, Des Plaines, Evergreen Park, or Warrenville and say, hey, I want to grill my Ace off. That's exactly what you say. When you say, I want to grill my Ace off, you're going to get you're going to get $20 off any grill purchased at Ace Hardware, and mention Ocean's Pit. Time to grill your Ace off. That's ACE, and get $20 off any purchase grill. So I want to thank Raffaello and Jackie for that. Ace Hardware. Remember, they've been helping neighbors before they were neighborhoods. And what's important, folks, to buy local and stay local, shop local, buy local, support local. That's what the show is all about. And thank you guys for watching. And thank you, Ace Hardware. I want to thank our good friends yesterday, everybody that showed up at Ron Onesti's Club Arcada Speakeasy. Last night, that was Tuesday, June 21st, we were at the Speakeasy doing a benefit. You know how much we love doing benefits? You know, I believe that when you have some sort of power, whatever, you're an entertainer and you got some notoriety, or you're any business you have, we always have to come together to help people. And that's what we love to do. Now, you know, about 2 weeks ago, folks, our very good friend Diana and George from the Jersey Girls, the band The Jersey Girls, unfortunately, their house burned down. Lost everything in the house. Thank God Dana was on tour with the girls in Florida, and George was home, and he got out. George is the manager and sound engineer, and he got out with the pets at least. But the house is completely gone. So they had a GoFundMe page, but then Nick Sahajas and Phyllis Sahajas, of course, Nick Sahajas from Chicago Piano Man, and Phyllis, the first lady of music, put everything together and put this fundraiser. Makes a call, and all the entertainers were there. What an incredible night. Besides Chicago Piano Man Nick, of course, I mean, Matt Cassane, Diva Montel, Regina Karma. I mean, the list goes on and on. Mojo's Jukebox, my other group, was there. I want to thank the guys from Mojo's. It was just great seeing all these great entertainers. Ron Stetta, Lulu was there, Lee Stevens. I mean, the list goes on and on of everybody that came and volunteered and did this fantastic show. And all the people that bought tickets and came out, we really appreciate it very much. And it was a good cause to help out people. So that was great. Now, tonight, folks, we're going to be at Wednesday. Tonight is, of course, March 22nd. Tonight we'll be at Positano's in Oak Brook. And that's going to be a 7 o'clock hit with my buddy Jerry Jams. Jerry Jams did a great job last night, too, putting the tracks all together. So great job, Jerry Jams, last night. And, of course, Nick Sahaj is organizing it all and putting it all together. So it was fantastic. Great job, guys. Tonight, we're going to be at Positano's in Oak Brook. That's going to be with Jerry Jams and special guest Louis Pipes. That's a 7 o'clock hit tonight. Tomorrow, Friday, we'll be at Chicago Prime. Tomorrow, the 23rd, we'll be at Ron Onesti's Club Arcada Speakeasy again. But this time, it's going to be a regular Tony Ocean show with Tony Toto, Jerry Jams, and Danielle Lark Angel, an incredible new singer. You can't wait to hear her. That's this Thursday. That's 7 o'clock. Friday, we'll be at Chicago Prime Steakhouse in Schaumburg with Daryl Armenstad, the professor. Saturday will be at Taverna on Division with my good pal Jeff Dubray and Tony Toto. So busy week as we have. Check the website. There'll be a lot of great stuff happening. And we want you all to understand that most important thing about this show is almost 4 years now that it's been on. And I just, 5 different ways that you guys can see the show. Now, we all know it's on the Tony Ocean Show Facebook page. It's on my personal page, the Mo Carrara Facebook page. You can get us on LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, and of course on the Ocean's Pit Facebook page, which is brand new. So check it out. And if you can, guys, this show today is going to be very interesting. So right now, I need you guys all to share the show. Let everybody knows about Ocean's Pit, the little show about big things, because we got 2 great guests on today coming up very shortly. All right, let's get a couple more sponsors out of the way, and then we're going to bring up our good friend Melody and Kim, the authors of the book, Safe Landing. If you guys are looking for a great attorney at law, a very great guy, Roy McCampbell out of Rosemont, Illinois, a statewide law practice that is client-focused and results-driven. Call Roy McCampbell at 708-275-4264. Let's not forget my wife's company, Laura Ocean Solutions, increasing profits while reducing credit card fees. You'll never have to shop again with Laura Ocean Solutions. Check it out. How about Deutsch Power Center out of Elgin, Illinois, servicing the great construction and diesel industry in the Chicagoland area for the last 100 years. That's Deutsch Power Center, 224-276-6550. Don Esteban Cigars out of Tarpon Springs, Florida. The summer is coming, so you know you want to go out there. Call Javier, ask for the special Ocean's Pit cigar, and you get them to hand-rolled, delivered right to your home. They're right from Tarpon Springs, Florida. Javier does an incredible job. 727-366-7536. All right, so the show is going to be great today. Let's say hello to some people. Daryl Armenstad, General, Jerry Jams, great job. There you go, Danny Mazzi. Grill your ace off is right. And speaking of more local stuff, let's say hello to Danny Mazzi from Armando Supermarket, 925 Liberty Street in Elgin. Buy local and shop local. Mikey and Gigi from Crash Champions Collision Auto Repair. For all your collision auto repair needs, go to crashchampions.com. A lot of other great stuff. Let's see what we got. We have California in the house. We have New York. We have Santa Barbara, Kathy. Oh, look at this. We have New York. New Jersey's here today. Albert, how you doing? Iowa. Oh, my God. Ohio, very cool. And, of course, La Crosse, Wisconsin. Welcome to Ocean's Pit. Great story, folks. I'm glad you guys are on because just in a couple of minutes, we're bringing up Melanie Smith and Kim Jocko, folks, the authors of the great Safe Landing book, which is just an amazing story. A family's journey following the crash of American Airlines Flight 191. Also, you guys know what we do for animals and for dogs. And you guys know that. I'm a big dog lover. You know that every Tuesday we volunteer at the Almost Home Foundation for Dogs. It's very, very important to, they need supplies, they need cash, they need volunteers. So go to almosthomefoundation.org and give what you can. And then we got a big show coming up on the 12th of April, folks, which is very important too, to do with animals, folks. We're talking about the Ruby Whiskers Animal Rescue. Very important. On Wednesday, April 12th, we'll be at the Tap House Grill in Lamont, 1243 State Street. And all of the money goes to the Ruby Whiskers Animal Rescue with Tony Toto, the lovely Regina Karma. It's going to be a great show starting at 7 o'clock. All $10 cover. All the proceeds go to Ruby Whiskers Animal Rescue. So make sure you put that on your calendar. All right. And one last thing before we bring up our guests. I had some horrible news yesterday. You never want to get that phone call when you lose a friend. And you know, for the last couple of weeks, I've been saying prayers out to my good friend, Mr. Bill Romanet. And unfortunately, Mr. Bill Romanet passed away last night. Mr. Bill, we knew him as. So he was a manager, of course, for the great Stay Out Disco back in Stone Park on Manheim Road, where we all went to. He was always supporting entertainers, always a very good friend. I talked to his son yesterday night, and he died peacefully, but he has passed away. And so this Friday show coming up this week is going to be all tribute to Bill Romanet. So make sure you guys tune in for that. And tomorrow is a big day, Thursday, folks. You know, once a month we go out to different locations and we do live remotes. Well, tomorrow's a big one, folks. If you're in the Schaumburg area, that's the 23rd of March. Tomorrow, Thursday, we'll be at Village Tavern off of Wise Road in Schaumburg. It's going to be fantastic with my lovely co-host, my lovely wife, Laura Ocean, that's with me every Thursday. We're going to be there live from 12 to 1. And Village Tavern is well renowned for their world-famous chicken fingers and honey mustard sauce. It's going to be great. They're giving away free samples. Free chicken fingers and honey mustard sauce during Ocean's Pit from 12 to 1 tomorrow at Village Tavern. Special guest, Mayor Tom Daly, the mayor of Schaumburg, Illinois. So be there tomorrow from 12 to 1. It's going to be an incredible day. All right, without any further ado, it's time. The book is called Safe Landings. About a month, 2 months ago, Chris Smith reached out to me, a friend of mine, and said, listen, you had a story about my family friends here. And, of course, the tragedy that happened. And we all knew, I mean, May 25th, 1979, I graduated high school in 81. And when the crash of American Airlines Flight 191 crashed, 273 passengers, everybody dead, passed away, gone. And this book is finally out. So we have Melanie Smith on it and Kim Giacomo. And let's bring them on, ladies and gentlemen. They're two incredible ladies. How are you doing this afternoon, ladies?
Good. We're doing good. I'm Melody.
And I'm Kim.
And today we're just here to give you kind of an overview of our book, Safe Landing, and to tell you how 31 seconds on May 25th, 1979 changed and altered our life forever, but it didn't define us. And it was because of our family and our background and our traditions that eventually got us through. We had some rough years, though, in the beginning, that's for sure.
Well, you know what? It's an incredible story. If I can just read something real fast, which really touched me, and you guys can actually take it from here, but this actually is coming from Kim, first page, one of the pages, it's titled The Crash. And as the stewardess made her final takeoff announcement, I looked to my right and my left. Every time I've flown since that fatal day, I have the same ritual. I count the seconds as the plane increases speed down the runway. 29, 30, 31. In 31 seconds, it's all the amount of time the DC-10 airplane was in the air before losing its left engine and crashing into the field north of the runway of O'Hare Airport. Ladies, please tell us, what was the day like? And then the cover, amazing when you get the book, folks. You need to go to Amazon and get the book. Here's the parents, of course. They're dancing at a wedding the week before their flight. And just please tell me, what was the day like when they were going to take off the flight? Let's go from.
Well, okay, we'll go back then 43 years. I was at home with my husband, and I had a child, Chris, who is not quite 2 years of age. And we were having an unusual Memorial Day because Mom and Dad weren't going to be with us. They were taking off that weekend for a second honeymoon. So, and my sister Kim, you can tell where you were at.
So I was in Acapulco. I had left 2 days prior. And the reason our parents were decided to take the second honeymoon is because I had called off a wedding and to a great guy, nice guy from Boston, but it was a mutual, we're not going to get married. My mother loved him. She said, I'm not going to be here because we all need to be away. You know, he was a nice Irishman, and she was thrilled that I was getting married. And she said, well, we're going to go away. And I was graduating college right after that, like in June. And she said, so we'll send you and your friends to Acapulco. We're going to go to Hawaii. And so I'm laying by the pool on May 25th with my girlfriend, Colleen. And I don't know if it was too many drinks the night before or just a wave of nausea comes over me. And we later find out that it was about the time of the crash. And I said to Colleen, I can't explain this feeling. It's like waves are going through my body. We went upstairs, we laid down, and it's many hours later, and there's a lot that goes on in between when our phone rings because there's no cell phones. And of course, Melody has some terrible news.
So the morning of May 25th, Mom called, of course, to say goodbye. And we asked if we could drive them, and they said no. They hadn't traveled a lot previously to this, but our dad had been in World War II and wanted to go to Hawaii and see the monument and all of that. And so there had been a lot of ups and downs about them going to Hawaii because United was on strike at that time. And so we always were hearing they were going, but they didn't know how they were getting there. You know, they were going to take Braniff to Texas and whatever. So I wrote down all the places they were staying, the 10 days they were gone, they were going to be gone. I kind of knew when the time was of the flight, but I never wrote down the airlines. And my dad he was very excited about going.
But our mother had a bad feeling about the trip. Yeah. And about 3 days before, she said to me, I don't think we should go.
Yeah.
She said, this has changed too many times.
And
There's been too many.
And it's, if you don't mind me asking, why did it keep changing again?
Because of United being on strike, getting to Hawaii was difficult back then. So they had all kinds of they were sometimes going to Minneapolis, whatever, and then flying to California. So we didn't pay attention. I just said, keep trying and go. And I did remember my dad finally went to Tartan Travel back then. That was in Carson Perry Scott.
In the basement.
And to make arrangements. And so we said goodbye to them. We said we would see them, in 10 days. My husband was off. We went to a shopping mall. We were meeting friends had a little kid that night. And as we walk in the door at about 4:00, the phone rings, and it's my mother-in-law saying that my brother had tried to call her, wanting to know what time Mom and Dad were leaving. Now, our mother and dad had also called our brother and said, we don't need a ride to the airport. We'll just see you later. We'll see you in 10 days. And so I said, well, gee, when did this crash happen? We didn't know. It's not like in today's world where
we've been on our phones.
Yeah. And so she said, well, it happened around 3:00. And I said, well, that's kind of when they're leaving. But I thought, oh, no way,
Sure, you never think they would be.
No. So I called really my aunt. And then I called the airport. I called American Airlines. They took my name and number. Unbeknownst to me, my husband has got the TV on. I never really saw what was going on the TV. But then I had this gut feeling, that, and then I remembered Tartan. travel, and I called them, and I caught a guy right before he was leaving for the weekend, and he said, I'll call you back. I didn't take care of them, and he called me back, but in the meantime, I called American Airlines again, and they said they would get back to me, and this guy called me back, and he said, I'm sorry to tell you this, but they're scheduled to be on that flight. And I knew because Tony, back in those days, people went to the airport. It was a day, my parents were leaving at 10 in the morning. They were going to have lunch and, and everything before you left. And so I knew that they had left so early that if they had something happen and they didn't catch the flight, they would have somehow called us.
From a payphone.
Yeah, from a payphone, right? And so
right. There was no cell phones. You're right. So,
No cell phones.
So I called my brother. He was a manager of the time at the bar, The Lodge on Rush Street, and he had a bad feel. And I said, they're on that flight, I think. And I said, I'll call American Airlines again. So he said, okay. And I have to tell you, Tony, there's a couple times in your life, that the pain you hear in somebody else's voice, and that was my brother. And he's saying, you better not be fooling me here or have this. I said, they're on that flight. And so he said, I'll go out there. So he drove out there, but he couldn't get he thought he was going to get on the site and help them and whatever. And instead, the police obviously turned him away, and he was ushered into a VIP room. We had decided not to call Kim in Mexico until we really knew the fact that they were dead. So I called Jim. When I talked to Jim before he left, I said, be sure to keep me in the loop and contact me. Again, we didn't have cell phones, so it wasn't a constant connection. So Jim happened to call me about an hour later and said, I'm in this VIP room. They're trying to find out, and they're going to let us know. And all of a sudden on a screen came up their names, not their full names. And that is kind of the problem that we end up having 40 years later, because there was really no official manifest. And we find that out many, many years later. But he said, Mom and Dad are on that flight. Yeah. So I said, okay, we'll try to get out there, and I'm going to call Kim. So that leads back to me calling Kim in Acapulco, which wasn't easy back in those days. There was a language difficulty and what have you. And
I was staying at an American Airlines hotel, and they had no knowledge of the crash.
Yeah.
No clue. And, things have changed all for the better today. But back then, it was kind of so sad, too bad. We'll get you back, but your friends were not going to change their tickets to come back with you. And we were all young. We were in our 20s. They didn't have the money. So I flew back by myself and arrived the day after.
And so Kim was like 24 hours behind where we already were.
Sure.
Because we're picking her up at the international airport. But by this time, friends of mine, one who was a Chicago cop and one who was an attorney for United Airlines, said you need to get any kind of medical records you possibly can on your parents. So when we're picking up Kim, we are meeting another man there with my mom's dental records, because my brother had gotten dental records. So Kim is hoping that maybe
I'm hoping that they've just been injured.
Yeah, and that they're still alive. And we're there with medical records, and saying, okay, they're not only dead, they're not identifiable. Okay. And we really didn't know what that all meant. Okay.
when you finally got the call. Well, you're watching Ocean's Pit, ladies and gentlemen. We have the authors right now of the book, of course, Safe Landing, the family's journey following the crash of American Airlines Flight 191. Melanie and Kim. When you said their names just came up, was it their first names only?
No, it was their first initial and their last name. And Tony, at that time, the newspapers, none of the newspapers, the Tribune, the Sun-Times, nobody ever had a list of all the names together. So it was kind of like, 23 years later, when we're trying to find out where mom and dad died,
sure,
and to find out how can we contact other people, there was not even 273 names together. 2 people that died were on the ground, so there were really 271. But that was the problem again back then, that recording and there was no official list or manifest.
And a lot of tickets back in 79 and in that era were bought through travel agencies. And also back then, before security, I could have bought a ticket and given it to you, Tony, and you could have gotten on the flight.
I could have went, because things are completely different. I'm going to read something off a gift from the page from the book. All 271 passengers and crew were on board. 2, like you said, on the ground. The ADC-10 was broken apart. Their lives were lost. I mean, like you said, it was debris was scattered everywhere. There was nothing left, just like you said. So
right.
Identified. It's still the worst non-terrorist related crash in American history.
That's true.
Yeah, that is true.
Today
it is. And how long did it take for them to contact you and say, definitely your mom and dad?
They never did. They never did. We never heard from American Airlines, and we're no different than any of the other. American Airlines never confirmed. The only person we ever heard from, like the next day, it was the insurance company. It was the New York Met, that was their insurance company. And that was really the only people we had some connection with, because they wanted to see if we were going to settle or file a lawsuit or whatever.
That's another whole story.
And that is a whole other story. But, so no, we never heard from American Airlines. And so that is why we were never connected to any of the other people who lost anybody on this flight. In today's world,
because of this crash, there are federal laws in place that says if any of us today are in a crash, all of our loved ones will be brought together. There will eventually be a memorial. There will be a whole connection, which is critical to mental health and healing and all the rest. But back in 1979, we're sorry.
You were on your own.
On your own.
When you find out this happens, obviously, and the family's in shock and disbelief, trying to get everybody together, some sort of memorial. How long did it take till you fully had a memorial and had all the family together?
Well, 23 years it took us to.
Well, but the memorial for our mom and dad, right? Immediately following was, unfortunately, I had canceled the hall, but never canceled the church. So our parents' memorial was on my wedding day at St. Hilary's. So we had a big memorial service, and this is before anybody is identified. Nobody has been identified at this point. And in fact, we had a big party back at our parents, at our home, our family home, where there was always parties and always people, and it was a big gathering. And the FBI actually were fingerprinting the upstairs bedrooms and that to help with identification process of mom.
Yeah.
Right.
Our dad got identified the day before the memorial that we had he was the first in the first group identified with the pilot, the co-pilot, and some stewardesses. And we thought, well, how did that happen? Because they were not flying first class. And where was Mom? Mom got identified in the last group of people that officially ever got physically identified. There were then about 30 people, we found this out much later, that never physically got identified, but they knew because they didn't show up or
circumstances and tickets
that they were on that flight. So we felt fortunate that, and we certainly felt even more fortunate years later when we found out how the people that were not physically identified all got buried in California. Their families were flown out there, and there were 30 caskets out and buried, and then they came back. And we said, again, in today's world,
and we do know families where one spouse is buried one place and the other not identified is in California.
Else. Did you guys get a chance to meet any other people that their family, friends, or loved ones died on that plane too? Have you ever met any of those other people?
Well, yeah. So then fast forward, the gist of the book too goes on that it's around the 23rd anniversary,
right,
that it bothers these two sisters, the two of us, that nothing has ever been done. There is no kumbaya, there is no gathering, there is no memorial, and there's really no mention ever in the newspaper when that date comes up, year after year after year.
How does American Airlines, when you contact American Airlines, what is their excuse? I mean, what do they say?
Well, we did contact American Airlines when we finally got approval from O'Hare to have a 25th memorial at the 25th year. And I contacted American, and they said, well, the official manifest, this is what they told me back then, would be out for the public on the 25th anniversary. Well,
that would have been too late.
That would have been too late for us. And so Michael, by this point, we had met Michael Lux, who was the son of the pilot. And Michael was also training to be a pilot at the time his dad died. And he was kind of really possessed with making sure that his dad he did simulations of the crash and everything to make sure that his dad did everything, because initially there was talk in the newspaper that this was Pilot Air. It ended up not being Pilot Air, at all. And it was the problem in terms of the engine, the maintenance of the engine,
So we do the 25th anniversary. Go on.
Like
we do
they're losing their left engine, crashing in
the left engine fell off.
Right.
And so it was only up 31 seconds.
Yeah, 31
with full fuel.
Yeah, up and down, and it had been a plane that the shortened maintenance was done, and obviously it was faulty, and that's why DC-10s for a while were put to rest to make sure that everything was safe and what have you.
So it bothers us. One.
Yeah, the feeling. I mean, I can't fathom the feeling that you get not knowing that there was no closure for a long time.
Right.
And the stories where you all came together again. While you have another third name on this book,
Jim.
Who is Jim Borst?
Okay.
He's our brother.
He's our brother, and he owns a bar, and he's working, so that's why we're here and he's not here.
Okay,
and and he's a great guy, and
But this was very therapeutic for the three of us.
Right.
So when I retired, I said we have to write this story because Melody and I help organize the 25th anniversary. We find about 20 families. We're all going to do our best to try to find more people. This is not easy. There is no Google. And at this point, around the 23rd, 24th anniversary, we don't even really know where the plane crashed, because for those first 20 years, you're in such shock and just trying to get through each day and trying to put your life back together. And when we say the plane exploded, our lives exploded too. But we kept getting together. And so we do the 25th. And around the 30th, Melody and I are interviewed by Vince Giracelli, by the O'Hare Oasis, looking down on the crash site. And again, again, nothing's been done. And he said, it's 30 years. And I said, no, and here we are. And then now I'm the assistant principal at Decatur Classical School in Chicago. And the great feel-good part of the story is the sixth graders at my school decide to choose to get a memorial built for American Airlines Flight 191 as their Constitutional Rights Foundation project for that school year. And a long story short, they present at the Dirksen Federal Building. We're all there. We know it's a phenomenal story. And again, timing is everything in life. The judges for that project were also people that had knowledge of this crash, that were around at the time of the crash. And they said, this is right. These kids are right. There should be something. And so for another year and a half now, Jan Schakowsky, Dan Katowski, many different politicians got behind them and said, we'll work with you. And initially, they wrote a letter to American asking for them to support this memorial, and American wished them good luck.
Yeah.
And so there was, I was going to ask you if, and Richard Hamlin, who watches our show, says, my friend Joe was the very first police officer was on the scene when that actually happened. Compensation, was the American Airlines anything? I mean,
Well, we can't speak for anybody else, but we as a family decided to go ahead and take the settlement of the insurance company. None of us were young. It wasn't like we had different if it was parents with young children.
They put a value
They put a value on our parents' life, whatever the insurance. They were in their 60s, so whatever that was. And, I think our brother, he has always said he wished he hadn't settled because I think he wanted to have American feel some pain, but they weren't feeling any pain. And I think for us as a family, it was much better because instead of focusing on 31 seconds of their demise, we focused on all the good times we had as a family and all the good memories we had. And I think even though there was not that much thought put behind it, when I look back on it, I think it was a good thing, but I understand.
Yeah, how did it keep you guys? What did you do to keep everybody together? How did you stay positive? Oh my God, how did that happen? What did you guys do?
Well, 4 months before my mom boarded that plane, she wrote me a letter on my 32nd birthday and pretty much told me how much she loved me and our siblings, and said, but the only thing she was leaving me is her sense of family and the importance of family and getting together. And she said, I, as her firstborn, that is what I am supposed to do. And not just for the fun of it, but for the love of it. And it may be hard, but I know you can do this. And I can remember Tony reading this and going, oh my gosh, well, I'll fold this up and this will be many years. And 4 months later, part of that was read at their memorial. And I have to tell you, it was my marching orders from then on, because I knew I was going to try. And I had a son, Chris, who you met, sure. And I was going to have to do those kind of things because I had children and I invited them. But I knew early on I was not mom. I couldn't command them to come to things. They had to want to do it. And lo and behold, they did. Sometimes late, sometimes whatever. But, so the first few years were very difficult for all of us, but we kept on getting together. Okay.
We always had each other's back, and
in the red letter days.
Red letter days.
Yeah. Our mom always coined red letter days as important days. No matter what the heck is going on in your life, you still needed to get together, and so we did that. And so by the luck and a lot of prayers, I think.
A lot of prayers, a lot of prayers, a lot of guardian angels, I was the only one in therapy, I think 5 days a week for a year and a half. I finally said, I got to do this.
But I have to tell you, Tony, later on, as we have the memorial and then we do this 40th, during our whole journey, we have met so many wonderful people, but we've also met a lot of people that we realized we were more fortunate. And certainly that when you talk about first and second responders, when we met them and we heard, they didn't have, we could contact.
They didn't have therapy either. They didn't have a support group.
Yeah.
There was none of that in 1979. And we even asked some first and second responders to come and read. We read names when we did the 40th, because there is a beautiful memorial. The Kids Project ends with this gorgeous memorial in Lake Park in Des Plaines. And they said, no, we can't do it. There was still that much pain that it was too difficult.
Yeah.
Well, think about this one, ladies. Like you said, you're fortunate. You had family, you had friends around you. Imagine if there's people out there that are by themselves. They didn't have any relatives. Like you said, some of them had a lot more pain. I'm not saying not more pain, but you know what I mean. They didn't have the camaraderie of family. And just think, and that's what kept you guys all together. And like you said, and praying and God and therapy and everything that you went through. But you know what? People were saying when you were telling about that gut feeling, I think that since this has happened, do you ever get a gut feeling, anything else that you're doing, and you change your mind?
Yes.
Because
I totally believe in that, in the gut. And I always tell my kids, listen to your gut. That is your North Star. That's your director. And if there's something that doesn't feel right, it's probably not right.
No, it's true.
Wait a day.
And since that happened, a lot of changes, a lot of decisions in your life have all changed differently, because you might have been different. I mean, you're not now, like you said, your gut's going to tell you something. And I think that's always been to a lot of people that does that. If you're just watching the show, folks, we have our good friend Melody and Kim on, folks, the authors of Safe Landing, A Family's Journey Following the Crash of American Flight Airlines 191, horrible, on May 25th, 1979. This tagline that just keeps getting to me ever since I read it: tragedy gets the big word, but never gets the final word.
Where
did that come from?
Just the fact that we survived, Tony, and we survived fairly well with a wonderful family.
And with a lot of heartache.
Yeah.
Tragedy did knock us down. There is no doubt about that. And it knocked down a lot of people, and it knocks down a lot of people every day. But we're proof that it didn't get the final word. It really didn't. We 40 years later, 3 senior citizen siblings get together every Thursday to write a book. That's another book in itself, when people can't hear, can't see.
That might even be a TV show. That might be a weekly show. This great picture. They were celebrating. Whose wedding were they at?
They were at a bartender from, my brother was at the lodge. I think it was one of the bars on Elm Street, but it was one of the bartenders. Because my parents, they were great,
they were fun people.
And they were great dancers. Our claim to fame is that we do a lot of stupid human tricks, but my mother's claim to fame, and then ours, was standing on our heads. My mother would say, you'd be at a party, get on your heads. Right. And we stood on our heads, and they were a lot of fun.
Yeah, they were a lot of fun.
And they seem like they're having a ball. They seem like they're having a ball in this picture. Now, obviously, I have to ask you, what was the feeling like the first time you guys had to get back onto a plane after this happened? Have you flown since?
Oh yeah.
Not only have we flown a lot, but we flew American Airlines, both of our families and our kids, to, are you ready for this? Our brother's wedding in Maui, where they were headed. So one of the titles we thought about for the book was Finished Flight, because we did finish their flight as a family. And on the day of his wedding,
and he got married much later.
He got married, it's the 25th it's the
Yeah.
25th anniversary.
What was that feeling like? You're in your seat. You have the seatbelt on. You're looking left and right. Almost the same thing you said in the
Right.
sentence. What was
Yeah.
that feeling like?
Well, it's kind of my whole feeling about life, Tony, is that you have to appreciate the moment because the next moment might not be there.
And you can't be afraid.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can't be
So,
afraid.
however, our brother has flown, but never American. He has
Never.
never flown.
He did not fly American. No, he has never flown American.
Yeah.
We have.
Yeah.
We have.
Right.
But the story of Jim's wedding is about 3 years later after he got married.
Yeah.
Melody was cleaning a box out in the basement and she finds a scribbled piece of paper where she had written that morning where they were staying. And unbeknownst to any of us or to remembered, is their wedding took place at the Royal Lahaina, which was one of the locations where they were headed.
And Jim didn't know
And
that.
he didn't know it either.
Yeah.
You had no
And
clue.
so, yeah, but he said he had a good
He
feeling.
said, I got a good feeling about this place. I walked around the place and I think this is the place for the wedding.
It was kind of old Hawaii.
It was old, yeah.
Yeah.
And we buried his bow tie and her hanky and some things the morning of the wedding, the three of us.
Yeah.
So we finished the flight.
Yeah.
And let
So,
me ask you, why do you think you said that your mother was, if I got this right, before the flight, she wanted to do it, but your father didn't? Was there a reason why, the gut feeling that he didn't want to do it, or was it vice versa?
No, he did.
yeah.
He did. He was gung ho. We're going. My dad was gung ho. My mother, she just said there had been too many changes with the changing of the flights, and she said, "I really think we should."
Being on strike.
Again, I think we should just not go.
Right.
And we all said, "Oh, go. It'll be fine." So again, that was another 3 months of therapy.
What do you think would have been life? I mean, if they were still in your family, obviously not now, but 45 years ago, if they were still in life, what would your life have been?
They were such connectors in that, but I think I talk about it in the book, that losing mom and dad, as horrific as it is, as we have gotten older, our relationship as siblings got tighter and stronger because there wasn't mom and dad. And sometimes, being a parent, I understand this, that we get in the way of our kids sometimes. And it's much better, as much as I always want to be involved in all of their activities and parties, I have encouraged them to get together by themselves without my husband and I, because they need to have that relationship and not have mom and dad always in the mix,
Always in the mix.
Yeah.
It's Robert Provenzano, a good friend of ours. Actually, him and his wife celebrating 58 years. Just said something. They met one of your sisters. We met the sister at one of your shows, my shows at Taverna, and they did all their tricks on the dance floor.
That's true. Well, Tony, yeah,
How cool is
Yeah.
that?
yeah. It was, to me, it was the best. My whole family surprised me for my 75th birthday.
And you sang.
And you sang, and I'm sure you see people celebrating all the time, but it was an amazing night because it was also kind of still COVID and there was nobody with masks on, and and I've never seen a whole restaurant get up and do the conga dance, It was like just priceless. And it was so back of, to me, the kind of places we grew up in. I mean, the local
The family,
restaurants.
music.
Yeah.
Old school traditions.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Ladies, it was a pleasure talking to you.
Okay.
It's very inspiring of everything that you guys have been through, just showing the sticking together with your family and believing in the faith and God and keeping you guys all together. Ladies and gentlemen, Melody Smith and Kim Jockel, folks, authors of Safe Landing, Family's Journey Following the Crash of American Airlines Flight 191 that happened on May 25th, 1979. The book is good. It's on fantastic. You should pick up a copy on Amazon, longoverduebooks.com. Go to Amazon, check it out. Ladies, thank you so much. And
Thank
No,
you.
thank you.
You were wonderful. too.
Wonderful, Tony. Thank
Yeah.
you.
thank you so
And we're
much.
going to come hear you play again.
We're going to come and do more tricks while you dance
Thank you.
and
Yes,
while you
show me
sing.
some of those moves, and give my best. Give my best to Chris. And
I will.
again, thank you guys so much, and you guys have
Okay.
an incredible day. God
Thank
bless
you.
Thank you. God bless you too.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, what an incredible story. It's just that you don't, that's just an inspiring, their family, how they went through the incredible journey over 40 of the last years putting together. How about not finding anything out? American Airlines still to this date has no closure on this. They had nothing. That's like nothing. I mean, after all these years of trying to find out what happened and through years of therapy and just, wow, incredible story. Again, Safe Landing. Uh, get the book. Melanie Smith, Jim Borchers, and Kim Jollick. If I'm not sure I pronounced that name right, Jollick. And just check out the book because it's a great family story, and that's what's really important. You're watching Ocean's Pit, the little show about big things. Remember, tomorrow we will be at Village Tavern, 12 o'clock, 12 to 1, Wise Road in Schaumburg with my lovely co-host, my lovely wife, Laura Ocean, who is going to be a little tempting because chicken fingers from Village Tavern is all her favorite. And she's on this great diet that she's on. And again, posting all her daily posts about the food that she eats, how she does it. And we thank you all for all the inquiries that you guys have been sending. How do you do it? What do you do? And thank you for everybody. Please still reach out to Laura. And she's just been real busy putting it all together and trying to answer everybody's questions. But we'll be there, and they're going to give away free chicken fingers with the honey mustard sauce from 12 to 1 if you sit in the section where we'll be filming Ocean's Pit live. Very cool. Don't forget also, folks, the new CD is out. Heard I had a good time. The best of Tony Ocean, 30 years, $10 at any Tony Ocean show, or $15. We'll ship it out to you. That does include shipping. Let's talk again. We were talking about Mr. Bill Romanette passing away. My good friend, Mr. Bill. Friday's show is dedicated to Mr. Bill. We'll go through a little history on Mr. Bill, times with me. Again, everybody yesterday who showed up at the benefit for Diana and George, Diana from the Jersey Girls and George with her house burned down. And that goes, here's another story. What happened yesterday is people coming together when people in need and love, and musicians played and they sang great songs, and it was all fun and just supporting each other. And this is what Melanie and that's what it's about. This is what they do. And it's so important that Melanie and Kim and their family all get together and keep supporting and doing what they have to do to keep the memory alive. And crazy stuff, folks. But hey, great little quote behind every favorite song. There's an untold story. How basically is that true? And I love that quote. Today is also World Down Syndrome Day. Always very important. If Brittany Nolan's listening, Brittany, where are you, honey? We miss you and we want to say hello. Let's get some facts thrown out there, folks. Gordon Ramsay, the great chef. You realize, folks, now there's a lot of singers out there, vocalists, people who do speeches that rely on their throat. There is an insurance that you can get for people with these with your throat. After I had my throat problem in December, my wife got on that. We got some insurance for the throat. This is my life. So you lose your throat, you're gone. So there's insurance. But Gordon Ramsay, his tongue, because he is a chef and he tastes food and stuff like that, his tongue is insured for $10 million. So God forbid something happens to his tongue, he gets $10 million. So if you're a singer, if something like that, maybe you want to look. I should have got insurance years ago. Never thought about it. And thank God my wife stepped up and tried to do the things. Lisa Bergman, how you doing? All right, go see my buddies, the Cave Dwellers at Salerno's in Oak Park on Saturday. Ricky, how you doing, my buddy Rick? Sorcy from the Cave Dwellers, buddy. I hope you're doing well. I hope the boys are doing good. Thank you, Kathy, from that. I really do appreciate it. Here, 58 years ago today, March 21st, 1965, North Central College. They marched over the Edward Peterson Bridge in Selma, Mississippi. Leading the way was Martin Luther King. A big step at that time. And of course, people ask why Martin Luther King turned around. He knew he had to turn around. It would have been slaughter. But a great day in Selma with Martin Luther King. You know, sometimes Joey Spins, how you doing, buddy? Richard Hamlin says Kim Kardashian has her butt insured for $1 million. Wow, Richard, I did not know that. Interesting stuff. Joey Spins, great way. Look forward to seeing you and Cindy tonight. Tonight will be at Positano's in Oak Brook, 7 o'clock with Louis Spins and Jerry Jams. Thursday will be at Ron Onesti's Club Arcada Speakeasy with Tony Toto, Jerry Jams, and Danielle Lark Angel. Let me tell you some more dates we got coming up. Next Wednesday, the 29th, will be at Rosario's in Roselle with Double T, Tony Toto. The 30th of March, we're going back to Donnie G's in Elmwood Park. We have not been there since December 29th, which was my birthday party. We're going to be there on a special Thursday night, me and Jerry Jams. April 1st will be at Norton's in Highland Park with the return of Ryan O'Ryan. The 2nd of April will be at a new place called Caliendo's in Winfield with my good buddy Jeff Dubray. And a new place, Joey Spins, if you're listening, April 8th will be at Champion Sports Bar in Plainfield on the 8th of April. That's right, 8th of April, Champions. And don't forget, St. Jude's Benefit, April 23rd at the Arcada Theater. Nick Hodges and Phyllis put this together for St. Jude's. And our Oceans Rat Pack show. Tickets are selling well, folks, at the Des Plaines Theater on April 30th. Bill Saratella as Frank Sinatra. Yours truly is Dean Martin. Elliot Winbush as Sammy Davis with special guest Jack D'Amico. Great seeing Jack last night at the Arcada. He did a great job at the Speakeasy, Jack. And of course, we'll be opening for the Grassroots in Elk Grove on June 4th. And Oceans Rat Pack goes to the Forget About It Vineyard Winery on August 20th. It's a little place. It's a little far away, folks. It's August, but you guys, it's Galena, Illinois. You can see the Rat Pack with special guest Vince Amore as Tony Bennett. So it's all three of us and Tony Bennett. There you go. Des Plaines. Thank you, Albert. In case it deflates, there you go. Reprise. Tony Bisek, I don't think her butt is worth $2. Tony always got some good stuff, guys. If you're from Chicago, when they say, hey, let me call you back, means have a great day. And we'll talk to you tomorrow, right? Very good. I got other stuff that we're going to talk about tomorrow. We have a big show coming up at Village Tavern, which is going to be cool. We have some birthdays. How about for all you wrestling fans, Sting? It's Sting. Celebrates a birthday. The old WWF, now he's in AEW. Edgar Buchanan, better known as Uncle Joe from Petticoat Junction, celebrates a birthday. Carl Reiner is 101 years old today. Carl Reiner, what an incredible talent. Ted Aliota, of course, what a great Chicagoland entertainer is the great Ted Aliota. Diane Gonzalez, happy birthday. Clayton Kershaw from the Los Angeles Dodgers baseball team celebrates a birthday today. Shelby Saratella, the daughter of Julie and Bill Saratella. Shelby, happy birthday out there. Country singer and actor Jerry Reed celebrates a birthday. The greatest NBA coach of all times, formerly with the Los Angeles Lakers. Then, of course, he went to, of course, the New York Knicks with the Knickerbockers. Pat Riley, also with the Miami Heat. The great Pat Riley turns 78 years old. And I think Kathy Ippolito's grandkid, Little Butch, if I'm pronouncing that right, turns 3 years old. Happy birthday. And we got a lot of good stuff, folks. It has come to the end of the hour. And so we got a little sponsors that we have to take care of before we say goodbye, folks. Let's not forget our good buddies from Patriot Funding Incorporated. That's right. That's Patriot Funding Incorporated. Dave Antonelli, commercial money lending at its finest. 630-675-4730 when timing is everything. Different multiple choices if you're looking for commercial money lending. Dave Antonelli is the guy. Check him out. Buy local, shop local. Tell him Tony O sent you, folks. And then last but not least, let's not forget again our good friends from Ace Hardware Norwich, Ace Hardware Des Plaines, Ace Hardware Evergreen Park, and Ace Hardware Warrenville. They got a lot of specials going on, of course. There's small engine repair, handyman service, truck rental, window and screen repair. And then don't forget their great points, that Ace points that they have till March 31st. If you go to the Norwich or Des Plaines Ace Hardware, and you buy and you get a lawnmower, get a tune-up for your lawnmower, you get $10 onto your Ace points. How cool is that? And with spring in the air, you want to remember one thing. You want to grill your Ace off. That's right. Grill your Ace off at Ace Hardware. Buy any grill purchase and get $20 off your buy at Norwich, Des Plaines, Evergreen Park, or Warrenville. Tell them Ocean's Pit sent you. Guys, it's been a great day. Again, go out and pick up. You need to go out and support local talent. It's very important to do so, like we all do. And it is what it is. Oh, it's buy local, shop local. And what I'm trying to say to you is that go out and buy that book. Again, we need to thank Melanie Smith. Thank you so much. And Kim Jocko, folks. The book, again, Safe Landings. Check it out. A great book, a great family story, very inspirational. You guys have a great day. Remember, buy local, shop local. Remember, support live entertainment and live establishments. Remember the great words of Ringo Starr, peace and love. We need all the peace and love we can get in this world right now, folks. God bless you all. Have a great day. Tomorrow, 12 o'clock, 12 to 1, Village Tavern, Wise Road in Schaumburg. My co-host, the lovely Laura Ocean. We're going to have a great time for free chicken fingers and a special honey mustard sauce with a special guest, Mayor Tom Daly of Schaumburg, Illinois. Have a great day. And Nick Sahajas, take us out, everybody.
Time to go, it's the end of the show. See you later from Tony O.
God bless everybody. Have a great day.